A thunderstorm was raging the night. The rag doll cat I'd adopted suddenly became a person. I thought I'd been blessed with some kind of real-life anime girl. But I quickly realized she had zero grasp of human morality. Her snow-white cat ears twitched. Sapphire blue eyes locked onto me. As her tail coiled around my wrist, she'd repeat one word in a soft, sweet voice. Mate. And when her possessiveness finally boiled over, she bit my neck, leaving a trail of blood and tied my hands and feet with strips of cloth. Leo belongs to Snowball. Only Snowball. Be a bad boy, and I'll rip out your throat. My name is Leo Miller, and I'm about as average as they come. I'm a 9-to-5 stuck in the daily grind of work, home, repeat. My only comfort in this monotonous life is the rag doll cat I have at home, Snowball. I adopted Snowball from a shelter a year ago. She was just a scrawny little thing back then, but now she's a magnificent fluff ball with a glossy coat and, most importantly, a pair of sapphire blue eyes that could melt the exhaustion right out of me. But all of that shattered on a dark and stormy night. I've been stuck at the office pulling overtime, and by the time I dragged my lead-heavy legs home, it was almost midnight. The moment I opened the door, I heard a strange sound from the living room, like something being dragged across the hardwood floor. Snowball. I called out tentatively. Usually, she'd be twining around my ankles by now, purring up a storm. Silence. My stomach dropped. I flipped on the living room lights. In the next second, I froze solid, the blood turning to ice in my veins. My work shirt and pants were strewn across the floor. And curled up next to the sofa was a woman. No, that's not right. It was a girl. A girl with cat ears and a tail. She had long snow-white hair and skin so pale it was almost translucent. She was wearing nothing but one of my oversized band t-shirts, her slender legs crossed casually on the rug. But the most stunning features were the fluffy white cat ears twitching atop her head and the matching tail swishing restlessly behind her. Who are you? My voice trembled. I reflexively grabbed the broom, leaning by the door, my heart hammering against my ribs. How did you get into my apartment? The girl slowly lifted her head. When I saw her face, the broom clattered from my hand to the floor. That face, it was a human version of Snowball, especially the eyes. They were the exact same sapphire blue as my cat's. And right now, they were staring at me, wide with a mixture of confusion and something else. Something wild. Meow, she murmured, a soft cat-like sound. And she slowly stood up. I realized then how petite she was, looking maybe 16 or 17. The t-shirt hung on her like a dress, barely covering her, revealing legs so thin they looked like they could snap. Snowball, I whispered. My voice choked with disbelief. Hearing the name, her eyes lit up. Her tail shot straight up in excitement. She padded toward me, her movements as light and silent as the wind. As she got closer, a familiar sweet scent hit me. The smell of the premium kitten chow I fed her every day. My brain blew exclaimed. 1,000 thoughts crashed into each other. What the hell was happening? My cat had turned into a person. Before I could process it, the girl was standing right in front of me. She tilted her head up, rubbing her nose against my chest as if confirming my scent. Then she reached out with delicate fingers and tugged on the hem of my shirt, her eyes full of dependence. Master, she spoke. Her voice was as soft as cotton candy, laced with a sleepy warmth. Hungry. I was completely and utterly screwed. The next few days felt like a fever dream. I tried to communicate with her and discovered that while her body was human, her mind was still a cat's. She could only manage simple words, expressing most things with looks and gestures. I dug out some old clothes for her and bought her a new toothbrush and toiletries. She seemed to have no clue about human life. She didn't know how to use a toilet, let alone basic things like eating with utensils. I had no choice but to teach her everything, one step at a time, like I was raising a toddler. Watching her clumsily handle a spoon, spilling mac and cheese all over herself, I felt a bizarre, almost fatherly sense of responsibility. But on the 5th night, things started to spiral out of control. I'd just gotten out of the shower when I found her crouched by my bed holding the underwear I'd just taken off. She was sniffing it, her tail wagging excitedly from side to side. Hey, what are you doing? I lunged, snatching the underwear away, my face burning. She flinched, startled by my sudden movement. Her lip trembled and her eyes instantly welled up. Master, smells good. You can't just sniff those. I tossed them into the laundry hamper and turned to get her a blanket since she was only in a thin nightgown. But the moment I turned, a strong hand clamped around my wrist. I whipped my head around. She was staring at me, her sapphire eyes glowing with a strange light, a complete departure from her usual gentle demeanor. Master. Her voice was deeper now with a huskiness I'd never heard before. Want? Want what? Her stare was making my skin crawl. I tried to pull my hand away, but her grip was like iron. She didn't answer. She just lowered her head, nuzzling her nose against my arm. Then she opened her mouth and sank her sharp teeth lightly into my skin. Hiss. I sucked in a sharp breath, not from pain, but from the electric tingle that shot up my arm. Master's scent. So good. She looked up, her gaze hazy, almost drunk. Want more? Before I could react, she yanked me off balance and I fell backward onto the bed. I hit the mattress with a soft thud. She was on top of me in a flash, straddling my hips, her soft body pressing down on mine. What are you? Get off me! I panicked, my hands pushing against her shoulders, trying to shove her away, but she clung to me like an octopus, her cat ears perked in excitement, her tail coiling around my calf. Master, mate, she whispered into my ear, her breath warm and sweet. But the word she used made my blood run cold. Are you crazy? I'm your owner, not your. Words were cut off as her lips crashed onto mine. It was a kiss that tasted of sweet milk, but felt like a hostile takeover. Her tongue pried my lips apart, exploring my mouth with an undeniable, demanding force. My mind was chaos. Every rational thought screamed at me to push her away, but my body felt bewitched, unable to move. Her body was soft and warm, and her unique milky scent was an assault on my senses. Just as I was about to lose myself, she broke the kiss and trailed down my neck, her sharp teeth nibbling at my skin, leaving a trail of raw red marks. Don't snowball. Stop. I managed to gasp, my voice trembling in a way I didn't recognize. She either didn't hear me or didn't care. Her hands were already in my waistband. The cool touch of her fingertips against my skin sent a shiver through me. I grabbed her wrists, trying to pull her away with all my strength. Let go. I growled, my voice a mix of anger and a desperate panic I couldn't hide. My shout seemed to startle her. She froze, lifting her head to look at me. Her sapphire eyes were brimming with tears, her tail drooping sadly. Master, doesn't like it? She asked, her voice cracking. Snowball, just want to be with Master forever and ever. Seeing her like that, my resolve crumbled. She was, after all, the cat I cherished. Maybe she just didn't understand human rules. She didn't know what this meant. Snowball, listen to me, I said, softening my tone, trying to sound gentle. We can't do this. Before I could finish, she lunged, sinking her teeth deep into the side of my neck. Ah, the sharp sudden pain made me cry out. She pulled back, her eyes flashing with an almost feral possessiveness. Master is mine. Only mine, she snarled like an animal whose territory had been invaded. If Master isn't a good boy, Snowball will bite through his throat and keep him with me forever. Her sudden violence and the look in her eyes terrified me. This wasn't the sweet Snowball I knew. Her eyes were filled with a wild obsessive mania. I started to say, but my body felt heavy, my eyelids like lead. Go to sleep, Master, she purred, her tongue gently licking the wound on my neck. Her voice was soft and sweet again. When you wake up, you'll be with Snowball forever. In the last moment of consciousness, I saw her tail swaying excitedly behind her, like a viper, waiting for its prey to fall into the trap. When I woke up, it was noon the next day. Sunlight streamed through the gaps in the blinds, casting stripes of light on the floor. I was tied to the bed. My wrists and ankles were bound with soft strips of fabric. Not tight enough to hurt, but enough to keep me from moving. Snowball was sitting on the rug by the bed, calmly brushing her long white hair. Hearing me stir, she looked up, a sweet smile spreading across her face. Master's awake. She hopped up and bounced over the bed, leaning in close. Hungry, Snowball made breakfast for Master. I looked at her innocent face and a chill ran down my spine. Last night wasn't a dream. My cat had turned into a dangerously obsessed girl who now saw me as her property. Snowball. Untie me, I said, keeping my voice as calm as I could. No, she pouted, shaking her head, her tail flicking in annoyance. If I untie you, Master will run away. Snowball doesn't want Master to leave. I'm not going to run, I said, taking a deep breath, trying to reason with her. I'm your owner. Why would I leave you? Really? Her eyes lit up, and she seemed to waver. Really? I nodded, forcing a smile. So, can you untie me, please? This is really uncomfortable. She tilted her head, thinking for a moment, then shook it again. No, Master lied to Snowball before. Last time, Master said he'd take Snowball to the park, but he went to work instead. I was speechless. That was last week. I had promised to take her as a cat to the park on Saturday, but my boss had called me in for an emergency project. I had broken my promise. At the time, she just meowed sadly. I never imagined she'd hold grudge. That was a special situation. There are no special situations, she snapped, her eyes turning manic again. Master just wants to leave Snowball. Does Master hate Snowball now? I don't. Then why won't you mate with Snowball? She cut me off, her eyes boring into mine. All the other kitties get close to their masters like this. Snowball wants to be closer to Master, too. I was at a loss. How was I supposed to explain human ethics and social rules to a girl whose brain was still wired like a cat's with different species? I started struggling for words. We are not. She shot back instantly. Snowball is just like Master now. I have hands and feet. Snowball can be with Master like a human. As she spoke, she started pulling at her own clothes. The oversized t-shirt slid to the floor, revealing her slender, pale body. My eyes went wide. I squeezed them shut. What are you doing? Put your clothes on. Does Master not like to look? Her voice was laced with hurt. Is Snowball's body not pretty? It's not about being pretty. My face was on fire. My heart pounding. You're a girl. You can't just take your clothes off in front of people. It's a rule. What's a rule? She asked curiously. Is it more important than Master? I didn't get to answer before I felt the comforter being pulled away. A moment later, a soft body pressed against mine. If Master doesn't want to look, then Snowball will just kiss Master. Her voice was a warm whisper in my ear. I could feel her soft skin against mine. My resolve shattered. I snapped my eyes open and saw her leaning down to kiss me. Get away from me! I roared, thrashing with all my might. The bed frame groaned, and the fabric ties dug painfully into my wrists, but she didn't seem to notice, stubbornly pressing her lips toward mine. Just as her lips were about to touch mine, there was a knock at the door. Knock, knock, knock. Leo, you home? It's Mrs. Gable from next door. You didn't go to work yesterday, did you? An Amazon package for you got left with me, so I thought I'd bring it over. Mrs. Gable's voice was like a thunderclap in the apartment. Snowball froze, her eyes darting toward the door in alarm. Her ears and tail stood on end like a startled cat. Don't make a sound, she hissed at me, her eyes filled with suspicion and hostility. Don't let anyone in. Master belongs to Snowball. An idea sparked in my mind. This was my chance. Mrs. Gable, I'm here, I shouted. I'm not feeling well, just lying in bed. Could you just leave the package by the door? Thanks so much. Oh, of course, honey. Mrs. Gable sounded concerned. Are you okay? Do you need me to call a doctor? No, I said quickly. Just a cold. I'll be fine after some rest. Thanks again, Mrs. Gable. All right, then. You take care of yourself. Holler if you need anything. As I heard Mrs. Gable's footsteps fade away, Snowball let out a breath of relief, but her gaze turned dark and accusing. Why did Master call to her? She asked, her voice chillingly low. Does Master want someone to take Snowball away? No, I explained quickly. It was just a package. Nothing else. I don't believe you, she lunged, her hands closing around my throat, her eyes wild with fury. Master wants to leave me. I knew it. The world started to go dark as my lungs screamed for air. My vision blurred just as I thought I was about to die. She released her grip. Cough, cough, cough. I choked, gulping down air greedily. She was crouched by the bed, hugging her knees, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. Why? Why doesn't Master understand? She choked out. Snowball just wants to be with Master forever. Why won't you let me? Seeing her so pitiful and yet so terrifying, I felt a storm of conflicting emotions. I didn't know whether to hate her or pity her. Maybe from the moment she became human, this was all inevitable. Our simple owner-pet relationship was gone forever. Snowball, I said, catching my breath. Untame first. We need to talk. Okay. She looked up, her eyes wet with tears. Master won't lie to me. I won't lie. I nodded. She hesitated, then slowly stood up and untied the strips of fabric around my wrists, but she left my ankles bound. Can't untie the feet, she whispered. What if Master still tries to run? I sighed in resignation. Fine, hands were better than nothing. I flexed my stiff wrists and was about to speak when she suddenly knelt on the bed and started pulling in my sweatpants. What are you doing? I yelled, trying to push her hands away. Master and Snowball didn't mate yesterday, she said, looking up at me, her expression a mix of hurt and stubbornness. We'll do it now. I said, no. My temper flared. Snowball, will you please just listen to me? We're not animals. We can't just, but Snowball wants to have babies for Master, she interrupted, her eyes shining with a strange, dreamy light, just like the neighbor's calico cat. I'll have lots and lots of kittens for Master, so Master won't be lonely anymore. Her words left me stunned into silence. Her logic was completely feline. Trying to reason with her was like talking to a brick wall. I don't need kids, I said, taking a deep breath to calm myself. And besides, we can't have kids. Why? She asked, genuinely curious. Is Snowball not pretty enough? No, I felt a headache coming on. It has nothing to do with being pretty. Then Master doesn't like Snowball anymore. She suddenly screeched, tears welling up again. Master must have another cat outside. Is it that orange cat from downstairs? I knew he looked at Master funny. I had to fight the urge to laugh hysterically. The orange cat downstairs was a tom cat I'd seen maybe twice. No, I don't have another cat, I explained patiently. Then why won't Master mate with Snowball? She was back to the same question, her gaze fixed and unyielding. I was out of options. I couldn't exactly give her a biology lesson. I am really tired today, I finally said, grasping for an excuse. Then we'll do it when Master isn't tired, she replied instantly, a sweet smile returning to her face as if her earlier outburst was just a hallucination. She laid back down, curling up beside me, resting her head on my chest just like she used to. Her tail wrapped around my waist. Master's heartbeat sounds nice, she murmured, closing her eyes, a contented smile on her lips. Her warm breath, still smelling faintly of milk, ghosted over my collarbone. I lay there stiffly, feeling the furry tail tighten around me from time to time like an inescapable shackle. The afternoon sun slanted across the room, painting it in warm gold. I could hear the tick-tock of the wall clock in the living room. Each tick a hammer blow against my nerves. Master, I'm hungry, Snowball said, looking up at me, her sapphire eyes bright. The tip of her tail brushed against the back of my hand. I realized I hadn't eaten anything all day. My stomach was a hollow pit. Okay, let me go. I'll make dinner. I tried to move my legs, but the ties around my ankles dug in. Snowball wrinkled her nose, reluctant, but finally nodded. Master can't run away or Snowball will get angry. With that, she slowly untied my ankles. The moment I was free, I had to resist the overwhelming urge to bolt. But one look at her watchful eyes told me it was a bad idea. She was too volatile. A direct confrontation would only end badly. I swung my legs over the side of the bed, my body aching and nearly collapsed as my feet hit the floor. Last night's struggle and today's terror had drained me completely. Snowball instantly jumped off the bed to steady me. Her face etched with worry. Master, are you okay? Did Snowball hurt you? Looking at her concerned expression, my heart twisted. Her obsession was real. But so was this genuine worry. I'm fine, I said, gently pulling away. I tried to keep my voice even. I'm just going to make some food. The kitchen was a disaster. Flour was dusted over every surface. Eggshells were scattered on the floor, and the fridge door was wide open, a carton of milk lying empty on its side. I sighed and started cleaning up the mess. Snowball followed me like a shadow, her ears drooping, occasionally rubbing her tail against my leg like a guilty child. I'm sorry, Master, she mumbled. Snowball tried to make breakfast. But I messed it up. I glanced back at her. She was looking up at me, her eyes full of remorse. My heart softened again. It's okay, I said, stroking her head. My fingers brushed against her furry ears, and I felt her shiver. Just don't mess with the stove next time. It's dangerous. Okay. She nodded emphatically, her face breaking into a wide smile, her tail wagging happily. Watching her so easily pleased, I felt a sense of disorientation. If only she could stay this sweet. I made 2 simple bowls of boxed mac and cheese and pushed one toward her. She mimicked me, picking up a fork, but still managed to clumsily spill noodles all over her shirt. Slow down. No one's going to steal it, I said, sighing as I wiped the smear of cheese sauce from the corner of her mouth. She looked up at me with a sweet smile, then leaned in and gave me a quick peck on the cheek. It was loud and sticky with cheese. I froze for a second, my face instantly flushing. Master's food is yummy, she said, licking her lips, her eyes crinkling into happy crescents. Snowball likes Master the best. Looking at her innocent face, something in me shifted. Maybe I could learn to live with this. After we ate, I was about to wash the dishes when my phone rang. It was Sarah from work. Sarah was a new intern in my department, bright, cheerful, and cute. Lately, she'd been finding all sorts of excuses to talk to me. I had a feeling she was interested. "Leo, why weren't you at work today? Mr. Thompson was asking about you." Sarah's bubbly voice came through the phone. My stomach clenched. I've been so caught up with Snowball, I completely forgotten to call in sick. "Oh, hey, I'm feeling a little under the weather. I forgot to call him." "Thanks for the heads up, Sarah. I'll text him now." "No problem." Her voice sounded even brighter. "Well, you get some rest." "Okay. Do you want to swing by after work? I could bring you some chicken noodle soup or something." I was about to say no when a hand shot out and gripped my wrist. Snowball had crept up beside me and was now staring daggers at my phone. Her sapphire eyes were narrowed with suspicion, her ears pinned back like a cat ready to pounce. "Who?" She mowed silently, her voice a low growl. My heart jumped. I covered the mouthpiece with my hand and shot her a silencing glare. "No, that's okay. I'm fine. Just need to sleep it off," I said into the phone, trying to sound as casual as possible. "Oh, okay." Sarah sounded disappointed. "Well, make sure you take something for it. Call me if you need anything." "Okay, will do. Thanks, Sarah." I hung up and let out a long breath, then turned to face Snowball. She was looking at me with an expression so cold it could freeze fire. All traces of her earlier sweetness were gone. "Who is she?" she demanded, each word clipped and sharp. Her tail was ramrod straight like a blade ready to be drawn. "Just a coworker," I explained, a sense of dread creeping over me. "A coworker?" She raised an eyebrow, a cold smirk playing on her lips. "Do coworkers use that sweet little voice to talk to you? Do coworkers offer to come over to your apartment?" Her interrogation was unnervingly sharp, catching me completely off guard. "Snowball, that's none of your business," I said, my brow furrowing as my tone became stern. "Why isn't it my business?" she suddenly shrieked, her eyes filling with tears. "Master is mine. Only mine. No one is allowed to take you away from me." "You're being irrational," I snapped, turning to go out onto the balcony for some air. I only took 2 steps before she grabbed my wrist again, her grip incredibly strong. "Don't you go," she screamed, her eyes blazing with possessive fury. "Are you going to see that woman? I forbid it. Let go of me." I tried to wrench my arm free, but she pulled me back, making me stumble. She threw herself at me, wrapping her arms around my waist from behind and burying her face in my back, sobbing uncontrollably. "Stop, Master. Don't leave me. Don't go to someone else. Snowball will be good. You can do whatever you want. Please, just don't go." Her cries were gut-wrenching, filled with a desperate, primal fear that felt like a blunt knife twisting in my chest. I stood there frozen, a storm of emotions raging inside me. Anger, helplessness, and a strange aching pity. "I'm not going anywhere," I sighed, my voice softening despite myself. "I'll stay right here with you, okay?" Her sobs slowly subsided, but she kept clinging to me as if I might vanish into thin air. "Really?" she whimpered, her voice thick with uncertainty. "Really?" I gently patted her back. "I'm just going to text my boss and then we can watch cartoons. How does that sound?" She finally slowly let go. She looked up at me, her face a mess of tears, her eyes red and puffy. She looked so utterly pathetic. "Okay," she nodded, standing meekly to the side while I texted my boss. After sending a message, I turned to get her a tissue, but I stopped when I saw the look on her face. It was a bizarre cocktail of dependence, fear, and calculation. My stomach lurched. Before I could say anything, she launched herself into my arms, stood on her tiptoes, and kissed me. This kiss was different. It tasted of salty tears and a desperate, reckless finality. Her tongue moved frantically in my mouth, as if trying to consume me whole. I was breathless, trying to push her away when I felt her hands slide down my back, past my waist, and close around the most vulnerable part of me. NGH. A strangled gasp escaped my lips as all the blood in my body rushed to my head. Her hand was cold, her grip unyielding. I could feel her fingers trembling, her whole body tense. Snowball, what the hell are you doing? Let go. I shoved her away, my voice filled with shock and rage. She stumbled backward and fell to the floor. When she looked up, the tears were gone, replaced by a wild, terrifying determination. Master is mine, she said, her voice earnest but firm. No one could take him away. I'm going to make Master completely mine so he can never ever leave me. With that, she sprang up like a panther and tackled me to ground. This time, she was unbelievably strong. I couldn't fight back. Her hands pinned my shoulders to the floor, her knee pressing into my stomach, immobilizing me. Snowball, snap out of it. I yelled, trying to break through to her, but it was like she couldn't hear me. She just stared down at me with those sapphire eyes, a wildfire blazing within them. She lowered her head and began kissing me again, a frenzied trail from my lips, down my neck, across my chest, leaving a constellation of bites and red marks. Her hands were busy, expertly unbuckling my belt. No, Snowball. Don't do this. I begged. A raw fear I didn't recognize in my own voice. She paused, looking down at me. For a fleeting second, a flicker of hesitation crossed her face, but it was instantly swallowed by the madness. Don't blame me, Master. Her voice trembled, but her resolve was absolute. I'm just so scared of losing you. Then she lowered her head. I couldn't help but gasp. In that moment, my sanity shattered. Her movements were clumsy and inexperienced, but driven by a reckless, all-consuming obsession. I could feel the scrape of her teeth, hear her ragged, desperate breaths. No, stop. I managed to force out the words, but she ignored me, working even more fervently to please me. The light outside faded, and the room grew dark. I don't know how much time passed. My mind went fuzzy, my body feeling as if it had been drained of all life, limp and useless. She finally stopped, lifting her head to look at me, a gleam of moisture at the corner of her lips. In the dim light, her sapphire eyes shone with a triumphant alien glow. Now, Master belongs to Snowball, she whispered, her voice laced with satisfaction and a faint underlying exhaustion. He'll never ever leave me. She curled up beside me like a lazy cat, her tail wrapping gently around my leg. I stared blankly at the ceiling, my mind a hollow void. The physical exhaustion and mental violation crashed over me, and I felt the stinging urge to cry. In the darkness, I could hear her steady breathing, feel the occasional twitch of her tail. After a long while, she stirred, lifting her head to press a soft kiss to my chest. Master, please don't be mad, okay? Her voice was a careful, tentative plea. Snowball will be good from now on. I'll never make Master angry again. I didn't answer. I just closed my eyes as a single hot tear slid down my temple. The next morning, I woke to the harsh glare of sunlight. My entire body felt like it had been put through a meat grinder. My back and legs ached with a deep throbbing pain. The space beside me was empty. Snowball was gone. I struggled to sit up, noticing the comforter was tucked around me. My pants put back on. The apartment was silent except for the chirping of birds outside. I sat there for a moment, a storm of emotions churning inside me. Last night felt like a surreal nightmare, but the bruises on my skin and the profound ache in my bones were undeniable proof that it had all been real. I took a deep breath, swung my legs out of bed, and nearly crumpled to the floor. Just then, the bedroom door opened. Snowball walked in carrying a tray with a glass of milk and a plate of toast. She was wearing the new sundress I bought her, the white lace making her look almost angelic. If you ignored the possessive fire that still burned in her eyes, Master's awake. She smiled sweetly and trotted over, placing the tray on the nightstand. Snowball made breakfast. I just looked at her saying nothing. My coldness seemed to reach her. Her smile faded and her ears drooped. Master, still angry? She asked quietly, her voice full of hurt. I'm sorry, Snowball was bad yesterday. But I was just so scared. Don't I cut her off, my voice raw. I just want to be alone. Her eyes instantly turned red, tears welling up. Master, don't ignore me. She reached my hand, but I pulled it away. Her hand froze in midair, her face a mask of shock and panic. "Master," she choked out, a tear finally escaping and rolling down her cheek. "Are you going to make me leave?" Seeing her cry like that, a part of me wavered, but the memory of last night crushed that flicker of sympathy. Snowball. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice steady. "We can't go on like this. You have to understand I'm a person and I'm a person too," she retorted, her voice cracking. "I'm just like Master now. Why can't we be like other couples?" "We're not a couple." I raised my voice. "You're my cat. You were then and you are. I still am." She screamed, a crazed light flashing in her eyes. "I'm Master's cat, so Master has to belong to me. Only me." She threw herself at me, burying her face in my chest, and wailing. "I want a Master hate me. I won't let you throw me away if you do. If you do, I'll die right here in front of you." Her cries were shrill and desperate, a knife twisting in my heart. I stood there rigid, completely at a loss. And then my phone rang. It was Sarah again. Snowball's crying stopped instantly. She snapped her head up, her eyes narrowing with a feral hostility. "Is it that woman again?" she hissed. I didn't answer. Just tried to push her away to get my phone, but her grip tightened, her nails digging into my skin. "Don't answer it," she snarled. "You're not allowed to talk to her." The ringtone blared on, stubbornly filling the quiet room. Snowball grew more agitated, her breathing becoming ragged. "What does she want?" she shrieked, her eyes bloodshot. "Is she trying to steal my master? I'll kill her. I'll kill her." She suddenly let go of me and bolted for the front door. "Snowball, what are you doing?" I scrambled after her, horrified. She fumbled with the deadbolt, her hands shaking too much with rage to work the lock. "Let me go. I'm going to kill her," she screamed, throwing her body against the door. "Calm down, Snowball." I grabbed her from behind, pulling her back. She thrashed in my arms like a cornered animal. "Let me go. I'll kill her. She wants to take my master. I'll kill her." Her nails ran down my arm, drawing blood. But I didn't dare let go, terrified of what she might do. The ringing finally stopped. Snowball's struggling weakened, and she went limp in my arms, collapsing into hysterical sobs. "So, Master, don't leave me. Please." Her voice was muffled and pathetic. "You're all I have. If you don't want me, there's no reason for me to be alive." I held her, feeling completely drained. The cuts on my arm burned, but the ache in my chest was worse. What was I supposed to do just then? My phone screen lit up. A text from Sarah. "Leo, are you okay? You're not picking up." I was worried, so I'm downstairs. "Is it a bad time to drop this off?" My blood ran cold. Sarah was here and in my arms. Snowball had clearly seen a message on screen. Her crying stopped. Her body went rigid. Then she slowly lifted her head. Her sapphire blue eyes were glittering with a coldness I had never seen before. A coldness that looked like pure, unadulterated, murderous intent. "She's here." Snowball's voice was a low, guttural whisper, like a demonic growl. "She dared to come." She shoved me away, her gaze fixed on the front door. Her ears were flat against her head, her tail rigid. She looked like a predator, poised to strike. "Snowball, listen to me. You go back to the room. I'll go down, talk to her, and send her away," I pleaded, my voice shaking. But she didn't seem to hear me. She was already walking toward the door, one slow, deliberate step at a time. "Anyone who tries to take my master has to pay the price." Her voice dropped lower, the killing intent in her eyes growing stronger with every step. I watched her back and a deep primal fear shot up from the soles of my feet to the top of my head. I knew this was about to get very, very bad. Snowball's hand was on the doorknob, her knuckles white from the force of her grip. The sound of her bumping against the door must have carried because I heard Sarah's muffled, confused voice from the hallway. "Leo, are you in there?" That voice was the lit match to the gasoline. Snowball whipped her head around to glare at me, her blue irises webbed with red. "You hear that? She dares to say your name." I lunged and grabbed her wrist. Her skin was shockingly cold. "Snowball, this is your last warning. Go to your room." My voice was trembling with a mix of fury and fear. She let out a sharp, brittle laugh that sounded like scraping glass. "Are you protecting her, Master? Like a dog protecting a bone that doesn't even belong to him?" Her tail shot up, every hair standing on end. Well, I won't allow it. She bent down and sank her teeth into my forearm, harder than ever before. The sharp tang of blood filled my mouth. I cried out and my grip loosened for a split second. It was all she needed. She twisted the knob and threw the door open. Sunlight flooded the doorway, silhouetting Sarah's stunned figure. She was holding a thermos, her expression freezing as she took in the scene. Me disheveled and bleeding from the arm. And standing before me, a wildeed girl with white hair, her cat ears and tail fully visible. Leo, who is? Sarah's voice quivered. Snowball moved between us like a territorial wolf, her fingernails seeming to elongate as she pressed the sharp tips against Sarah's throat. Get out, she hissed. Snowball, I yelled, trying to pull her back, but she threw me off with surprising strength. I slammed against the wall, my vision momentarily swimming with black spots. Sarah was pale with terror. The thermos fell from her hands, crashing to the floor and spilling chicken soup everywhere. I'm sorry. I'm leaving now. She turned to run, but Snowball grabbed a handful of her hair, yanking her back. Trying to run. Snowball's smile was cruel. Thieves who try to steal what isn't theirs should have her nails pulled out one by one. Stop it. I grabbed the fallen thermos and hurled it in her direction. I didn't aim to hit her, but the loud clang was enough to make her flinch and release her grip. Sarah scrambled away, her heels clattering down the stairs in a panicked rhythm. The door was still open, letting a cold draft below the curtains. Snowball stood in the middle of the mess, her tail drooping. Suddenly, she crumpled to the floor and started to cry. Master, hit me. For someone else, she wailed, pulling at her own hair, strands of white falling to the floor. I knew it. You don't want me anymore. I leaned against the wall, clutching my bleeding arm, and watched her bang her head against the floor until a red welt appeared on her forehead. The last thread of my patience snapped. A wave of pure exhaustion washed over me. Enough, I said, my voice. She looked up sharply, her face streaked with tears. Sarah is my coworker. I have no romantic interest in her, I said, each word slow and deliberate, my voice dangerously calm. I am tired. I don't want to fight with you anymore. I walked over, closed the door, and shot the deadbolt. When I turned back, Snowball was still huddled on the floor, her shoulders shaking. The greasy chicken soup on the hardwood floor mingled with her tears, a portrait of pathetic misery. Come here. I held out my hand. She hesitated, then slowly crawled over like a puppy that had just been scolded. I led her to the bathroom and dabbed at the cut on her forehead with an antiseptic wipe. She winced, but didn't pull away, her tail just barely hooking around my wrist. Master isn't mad anymore, she whispered. I'm mad, I said, tossing the wipe into the trash. But I'm madder at myself. I was mad at myself for not shutting things down with Sarah sooner. Mad that I couldn't find a way to soothe Snowball's deep-seated insecurity. And mad that every time she lost control, a part of me would think she's just a cat. After cleaning her up, I started bandaging my own arm. Snowball watched me, then reached out, pressed her hand over mine, and licked the edge of the gauze. When Master got hurt before, Snowball's licks made it better, she said, her voice thick with tears. Why doesn't it work now? My heart ached. I pulled her into a hug. Her fuzzy ear brushed against my chin, warm and familiar. Because now I can feel the pain. That night, for the first time, I was the one who initiated the embrace. She curled up against me like a frightened animal, her tail wrapped tightly around my waist as if she was afraid I'd disappear if she let go. No more hurting other people, and no more hurting yourself, I murmured, stroking her hair. She nodded, burrowing deeper into my chest. And Master isn't allowed to like anyone else. Okay. And you can't talk to other women. I have to go to work, Snowball. She let out a discontented little meow, but didn't argue. The next day at the office, I ran into Sarah in the lobby. Her eyes darted away when she saw me. I walked over to her. I'm so sorry about yesterday. I hope you're okay. Leo, that girl, was she? She's a distant cousin of mine. I lied. She has some mental health issues. I'll make sure it doesn't happen again. Sarah just nodded, looking like she wanted to say more, but turned and walked away instead. I knew whatever fragile spark might have been between us was now extinguished for good. When I got home, Snowball was waiting for me, perched on the windowsill. The moment she heard the door open, she let out a soft meow and launched herself in my arms, just like she used to when she was a cat. Master didn't talk to that woman today, Did he? She asked, looking up at me, her eyes shining. No, I said, scratching behind her ears. I cleared the air with her. We won't be in contact anymore. Her tail started wagging happily and she planted a kiss on my cheek. Master is the best. After that, Snowball did calm down in her own way. She no longer tried to stop me from leaving the house, and she didn't glare at me when I was on the phone. But her possessiveness was a constant low hum beneath the surface. When I was at work, she'd hide my button-down shirts and lay out a nerdy cartoon t-shirt for me instead. If I was on a call with a female colleague, she'd sit nearby and sweep her tail across my hand to remind me to hang up. At night, she insisted on using my arm as a pillow. Her tail wrapped around me so tightly it was almost hard to breathe. One night, I came home late from work to find her sitting by the door in the dark, her eyes red. She was clutching the feathered wand I used to play with her with. Did Master not want to come home to Snowball? She asked. I scooped her up into my arms. Her body was cold. Of course I did. But you were gone so long, she mumbled, burying her face in my neck. I thought you ran off with someone else. That night, for the first time, I kissed her. She froze, then responded with a clumsy eagerness, her tail wagging so hard it nearly knocked over the lamp on my nightstand. Does this mean Master likes Snowball? She asked, breathless, her eyes shining like stars. Yeah, I said, stroking her ear. I like you a lot. She squealed with delight, did a happy little dance around the room, and then launched herself back into my arms, rubbing her head against my chin. Snowball likes Master the most, too. Our relationship changed after that. She'd still get jealous if I so much as glanced at a stray cat on the street, and she'd still wrap her tail around my leg if I spoke to a woman for too long. But she was learning. She was learning to channel her all-consuming obsession into a fierce protective love. She started trying to cook, though it usually ended in a kitchen disaster. She'd have a glass of water ready for me at the perfect temperature when I got home from work. She'd lie beside me while I read, tracing the words on the page with the tip of her tail. Once I came down with a fever, I drifted in and out of a delirious sleep, vaguely aware of a cool cloth on my forehead. I opened my eyes to see Snowball beside the bed, her own eyes red with worry. Does it hurt, Master? She asked, her voice thick with tears. Snowball will go buy medicine. I grab her hand. No, don't. I just need to sleep. She wouldn't listen. She insisted on going. She didn't know her way around and ended up wandering around the neighborhood for half an hour before coming back with a random assortment of items. A box of Band-Aids, a bag of cat food, and a tube of bright red lipstick. Seeing her nose red from the cold, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I pulled her under the covers with me to warm her up. Don't ever run off like that again. But Master was sick. Having you here is enough. She stared at me. Then her face broke into a radiant smile and she peppered my face with kisses. Snowball is still the same obsessive, dangerously possessive catgirl, but now she's learned to express it through love, not just fear and violence. She straightens my tie before I leave for work, has my slippers waiting by the door when I get home, and nuzzles my hand with her tail when I'm upset. She was a bolt of lightning that crashed into my boring life, turning everything upside down. But she also taught me what it truly means to be tethered to someone. Tonight, as she's wrapped around me in bed, I find myself smiling. What's so funny, Master? She mumbles sleepily. Just thinking about what a clingy little cat you are. She snuggles deeper. Her voice is sleepy. Purr. Master is a clingy big cat, too. Moonlight filters through the blinds, illuminating her peaceful sleeping face. I lean down and kiss her forehead. Good night, my Snowball. Her tail gives my wrist a gentle squeeze in response.